Uh, okay, we are back. Um, Apparently YouTube videos can only be so long, or maybe it's the memory on my phone. Either way, this will be part two. I have finished putting in the background of the other ones, and now I'm working on the fourth of the pandemic paintings. And so I'm just continuing to add in this red background. This one is a much more complex background. Okay. And so I'm going to start by just cutting around the edges where I need to be most careful. And mix in more of my dark color. Again, I am not, while I'm being careful to not overrun my tracings for what's going to be in my foreground. I'm being careful, but I'm not being hyper about it, because I know I'm going to paint over those sections also. This background underneath the table here is it's darker because there's shadow under the table, and it would look odd otherwise. Okay. Okay. Painting the edge. A little bit more of this medium into the mix. It makes the paint a little bit more liquidy, a little bit more smooth. Okay, you may hear my brother debating with my husband. They do that a lot. Chalk it up as a mark of affection. Okay. So so I've got under the table, and now I'm going to put this on top of my palette because I think that I accidentally painted some of the back of this painting, and I don't want to put that wet paint onto my sewing table. This is a antique sewing table to the point where I cannot get the same brand of sewing machine parts, and if I ever wanted to sell it, I'm not sure how I would go about doing it. So I've got a PDF of the user's manual, and I'm just coddling it along as best as I can, using it in a underutilized kind of way because, well, it's an antique and I don't really know how to use it, but I still use it, so, but I want to keep it nice. Okay. at my reference photo, I can see that the table continues on like that. So again, I am cutting around carefully the sections that I want to preserve. I'm trying to blend my strokes enough to make an interesting pattern with them. I certainly don't want to outline anything, because then that would just, that does not end well. Okay. Yeah, she's got two little hairs sticking out. It's really cute, and I'm just gonna have to paint them back in later. And honestly, making them independent brush strokes instead of trying to paint specific swoops, it'll come off better anyway. So I'm covering them up. Again, I'm rotating this so that the angle is more correct for what I'm doing. Suppose you could call it ergonomically correct. I just call it more handy. Okay. And there we go. So as you'll remember from part 1, I'd like to be a little bit lighter around areas where my foreground is going to be darker, and a bit darker where my foreground is going to be lighter. So my daughter's hair is as dark as mine and James's is, so we get the pure alizarin red, alizarin crimson, near our hair, and then we mix in a little bit of black near our skin. Now, looking at us, it's really hard to believe that that all three of us were born blondes. Now, in this video, I do look a little bit blonder. I still consider myself as being, I still consider myself to be a blonde. It's the darkest of the ranges of blondes, according to a hair dye chart I stumbled across at a pharmacy one day. The more time I spend outside, the lighter my hair gets. So since it's now the summer months, I should be getting lighter haired. Hopefully not with the pattern of my bicycle helmet patterned in my hair. Most of my time outside is on my bicycle. I try to go on to a 30-minute bike ride daily. But part of that requires getting up in the morning early enough to go out on the ride before things start really getting hot. So today was another day where the high was projected to be around 90. And so I said, you know, if I can't go before breakfast, I'm not going at all. So I went before breakfast. Okay. A little bit more of this dark. And some medium to help it blend. If you saw video 1, you will recall that I'm taking a little bit of inspiration from the way the background was done in the Girl with the Pearl Earring painting. That one was a black or near black background, which really made the earring pop. This one, this series, I should say, has a crimson background, an alizarin crimson background, because the reason why we have these scenes is because of the COVID-19 pandemic. And so even though you could look at these scenes and say, oh, how peaceful, oh, how nice, there's a background worry to it all. Not only are we concerned about bringing home illness to my son, who has had a history of breathing issues, but also we live with my mother-in-law, who is she's got her own bevy of health concerns that make her a vulnerable demographic to the COVID-19 virus. But another worry is for the people we love, not just their own health, but the health of their loved ones. I got an email over the weekend saying that one of my colleagues had passed away, and it didn't say, well, it said when, but it didn't say what he died of. But the assumption these days is if there is no comment about why they died, then it's probably COVID-19. And this particular person, as far as I'm aware, was young and healthy. I mean, I worked with him not this just past school year, but the school year before that. And I'm kind of worried about who's going to still be there when we do come back into school. Who's going to still have all of their grandparents. So sometimes I have the peace of working in my garden, hanging up laundry to dry, being able to paint some. But behind it all, there's this background worry. And that's why I picked red. Okay, let's wrap the color. Okay. Okay. So, a little bit darker. one more edge. Okay. And so okay. And over here. Okie dokie. So we've